They say love is blind, and I was living proof. I had given my heart, my trust, and my everything to Rohan, the father of my children. We were the picture-perfect family in the tech bubble of Silicon Valley, or so I thought. I remember the day we met like it was yesterday. He walked into my life with this charming smile and sparkling eyes, and I was hooked. We were young, in love, and building a business together. I thought we had it all. We had 2 beautiful kids, a stunning home that I had decorated with love, and a life that many would envy. But looking back, there were signs. Subtle signs that I ignored. He started working out obsessively and caring about his appearance in ways he never had before. He would spend hours in the gym and come home smelling like a combination of sweat and cologne. At first, I thought it was great that he was taking care of himself, but then I started to notice that he was always extremely protective of his phone. He would guard it with his life, always keeping it close to him, and deleting his text messages and browser history regularly. I brushed it off as him being a private person, but deep down, I knew something did not feel right. My mother had warned me about him from day one, but I did not listen. She said he seemed too good to be true, that he was trying too hard. I told her she was just being paranoid, that I knew him, that he loved me. But I did notice that he would often compare me to other women. He would make comments about how pretty or smart they were, and I would feel like I was not good enough. It was like he was constantly trying to keep me in my place. I started to doubt myself, to wonder if I was indeed good enough for him. And then, the pandemic hit. We were stuck at home, and I started to notice that he was spending more and more time on his phone. He would be in the other room, typing away, and I would hear him laughing to himself. I would ask him what was so funny, and he would just shrug it off, tell me it was work. But I knew something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. And then one day, I asked him a simple question. Who was he texting? And he got defensive. Like, really defensive. He told me I was being paranoid, that I was overstepping. And that's when my radar went off. That's when I started to investigate. I started snooping around looking for answers. And then, one afternoon, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it, and there she was, his other woman. She was standing on my porch with a smug look on her face, and a folder full of receipts in her hand. "You're Rohan's girlfriend, aren't you?" she asked, her voice dripping with condescension. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I could not breathe. I could not speak. All I could do was stand there, frozen in shock. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer. "I am the one he has been seeing for the past 5 years, she said, her voice rising. "I am the one he has been planning to leave you for on your wedding anniversary." I felt like my world had been turned upside down. I could not believe what I was hearing. Rohan, the man I loved, the father of my children, was planning to leave me for this? I do not even know how I made it through that conversation. I think I must have been in shock. But when she left, and I was alone, I felt a wave of anger wash over me. I felt a fire ignite inside me, and I knew I had to get to the bottom of this. I started digging, looking for evidence. And what I found, oh God, what I found. It was like a punch to the gut. He had been catfishing me from the beginning. 15 years of my life, and he had been lying to me. I felt like I was living in a dream, like I could not wake up. But I knew I had to. I knew I had to confront him, to make him pay for what he had done. And that's when I realized that I had a choice. I could let him destroy me, or I could rise up, take control, and make him regret ever crossing me. I took a deep breath, gathered my strength, and walked into the room where he was sitting, his phone in his hand. "Rohan," I said, my voice cold and calculated. "We need to talk." He looked up, a smug look on his face, and I knew I had him right where I wanted him. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into," he said, a sly grin spreading across his face. But I did. I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. And I was ready. "Let's talk about your other woman," I said, my voice dripping with venom. "Let's talk about your plans to leave me on our wedding anniversary. Let's talk about the lies you've been telling me for 15 years. He looked taken aback, but I did not care. I was done being gentle. I was done being nice. I was done being his doormat. It was time for me to take back control. It was time for me to rise up and show him what I was made of. And as I looked into his eyes, I knew. I knew I was going to be okay. I knew I was going to make it through this. And I knew that I was going to come out stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever before. You know, Rohan, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. I used to think that love was blind, but now I realize that love can be a lie. And I am not going to let you get away with lying to me anymore. He looked at me, his eyes wide with fear, and I knew I had him. I knew I had the upper hand. And with that, I walked out of the room, out of the house, and out of his life. I left him with nothing but the shattered remains of his own ego. But I did not leave alone. I left with my head held high, with my children by my side, and with a newfound sense of purpose. I was going to rebuild my life, and I was going to make sure that Rohan regretted ever crossing me. My sister let me move in with her, and my mother was there to support me every step of the way. They had always known that something was off about Rohan, and now they were finally vindicated. As I looked back on our relationship, I realized that I had been living in a toxic environment. I had been living in a world where I was constantly doubted and belittled. But now, I was free. I was free to be me, to find myself, and to rediscover what I wanted out of life. It was not easy, but I did it. I took back control of my life, and I started to rebuild. I started to heal, and I started to find myself again. And as I look back on that experience, I realized that it was a blessing in disguise. It taught me that I am stronger than I thought, that I am capable of overcoming anything, and that I deserve to be loved and respected. I deserve to be happy, and I'm going to make sure that I am, no matter what it takes.